Hello, everyone. It is your host, Chastity White Rose, again, and this is another live stream. Now, back in February of this year, I paid for a premium membership to StreamYard so that I can do live streams more consistently and talk about important topics. I tried to talk my good friend Pafo, or Nathan Mornday, as he is also known, into doing a live stream with me, but he was tired, so he can't join me this time. But I have had a very full day, and I want to talk about some things. But seeing as how I'm going to be doing streams for a while, I decided it was time to start having some rules, some ground rules for how these streams are going to be, okay? And I make the rules because I'm the only one here. So, the first rule of Stream Club is you can talk about anything in Stream Club. The second rule of Stream Club, you must ask questions. And the third rule of Stream Club is you have to trust Chastity. And Chastity is me. I am Chastity White Rose, and you have to trust me because who else would you trust? I'm the only one here, like I said, and I'm your host. And so, in line with the first rule of Stream Club, we can talk about anything. I can talk about anything, and you can leave anything in the comments and talk about anything you like. So this is sort of anything goes, freedom of speech for the sake of it. So what will happen? Nobody knows because anything goes. Oh man, that sounds good. Yeah, nobody knows because anything goes. I can't make this shit up, people. This is just too good. Anyway, so why don't I start out by talking about my day and what happened? So today was a nice day and the weather was perfect. So around noon, I left my apartment to go on a walk. I walked all the way to the mall in Independence, and I bought 2 new lanyards because I wanted something new to hang my apartment and mail key on because I no longer wanted to display the name of my old company of that job that I had to leave because I didn't like that job and I don't like that company anymore. Although I'm sure in a different position or in a different location, I might not have done too bad. You never know. But who really knows? So I went down to the mall and I searched all the shops for lanyards, and I was looking for something. I was actually looking for something specifically with the transgender flag because that would have been ideal. Sure, I could always order something off of Amazon, but that wouldn't be as much fun as getting the exercise of a walk and hanging out at the mall for a while, right? So I found 2 things. I found one that was a rainbow flag one, and it said Team Pride on one of the sides of it. So I think it's sort of like a gay pride rainbow flag lanyard. So that's the one that I have my keys on now. The other one was checkerboard. And checkerboard is cool, of course, and that's my favorite pattern, but I can interchange the 2 lanyards. But what was really interesting about that particular store that I found those in is its name was Spencer's, and they had things in there that looked like, I don't know, sex toys or what in the world. Like, what kind of store is this? I don't know, but regardless, I found some things to put around my neck and hold my keys. So that's the important thing. And the mall is huge. Like, it took me forever to find where the bathrooms were. Even though I looked at the map, I had a hard time understanding it because I'm not used to mall maps. So yeah, the bathroom is actually near the food court, but the food court is useless to me because there's so much meat, and other things. There's no vegan food court restaurants in there, which is really kind of sad. But no big deal. I had my ways. After I went to the mall, I went to the half-price bookstore and I got a few books, and that was a cool place to hang out at. And then I went to Subway and got myself a Veggie Delight sandwich. So that was good. So then I basically was out walking for about 6 hours, And then I got home and talked to my mom a bit, and that was great. And it's been a full day. So it's been a full day, and I've been busy lately. I've been extremely busy lately. I've been doing so many things. And so tonight I'm finally relaxing a little bit and doing whatever I feel like. And I have some pasta that I'm going to eat soon. And also I've been working on something. So I have been submitting my mom's books that she wrote to Smashwords. Now, Smashwords is another self-publishing site, kind of like Amazon. My mom and I have published things through Amazon Kindle Direct Publishing, and you can publish paperbacks and the Kindle ebook edition. Even though it's called Kindle Direct Publishing, you can do paperbacks as well. They just call it that. Smashwords, on the other hand, is a little bit different because there's no paperbacks, but it's only ebooks. But if you get things submitted to Smashwords in the right format, then they can be submitted to, Barnes and Noble, the Apple iTunes Store, and stuff like that. So, for example, if you go on the Apple iTunes Store and look for books and you search for Chandler's Honesty, you're going to find my Chandler's Honesty series. Because it's sort of like Smashwords is sort of like a multi-platform distributor thing. So you can find my books on the Apple iTunes Store. You can also buy the ebooks for the Barnes and Noble Nook devices, that sort of thing. So Smashwords is nice because it's a way to get ebooks to other stores besides Amazon Kindle. Now, here's something very interesting, though. So as I was in the process of this, Smashwords was requiring for my mom's poetry book to have a linked table of contents. And that's something I didn't know how to do. So I had to watch some tutorials and I had to figure it out. It was very interesting. So apparently, of course, you can do this in Microsoft Word, but I was using LibreOffice on Linux is what I was using. I always use Linux and open source software for all my art and all my book publishing needs. And I only boot into Windows when I'm doing video games or live streams like this typically, because for whatever reason, Linux has a hard time with this camera. But anyway, the point is, so to make a linked table of contents, there are two things that have to be done. First, I had to go to each poem and select that and create a bookmark with a certain name. And then I had to go back before the poems and I had to create hyperlinks with the title of the poem and a link to a location in that same document. So I learned that hyperlinks can be not only a link that takes you to a certain place on the internet, but they can also link to a certain place in the same document. Now, this means that it is possible to create a table of contents and to create links within an ebook so that when somebody either clicks them on a computer or taps on them on a Kindle or a Nook or something like that, that it will take them to that location. So this is easy for navigation. So that's something that, although very time consuming to do, I spent the time to do that for my mom's poetry book. And that's the thing you have to understand is that I've published several books. My mom's published several books. And so I've been doing everything I can think of to try to get the word about our books out. It's not hard to find our books. If you search for either my name's Chastity White Rose or Chandler Klebs, you'll find my books. And if you search for Judena Klebs, that's Judena Klebs, then you'll find my mom's books. And the thing is, we've written some good books, at least we think they're good, and yet we don't hardly get any feedback. And it's really sad because here's what I think is certain books become bestsellers. Like take, for example, famous book series such as the Harry Potter series. Like the Harry Potter series by J.K. Rowling became very popular and was loved by millions up until people started accusing J.K. Rowling of being transphobic. I'm not really sure what happened there, but then all of a sudden everyone decided that she was transphobic and that they didn't ever want to buy any Harry Potter books again. I'm like, seriously, you're going to not enjoy a series of books just because you hate the author? Like, what's up with that? And so I really hope that's not people's mindset, because I really want people to buy my books even if they hate me. You know what I'm saying? And as far as for my mom, nobody even knows my mom. I've tried to talk her into doing live streams with me, but she wants to make sure she's looking and feeling her best, because some people care about having a professional presentation to the world, whereas I don't care. So I just, whatever. I just record myself and talk about random nonsense and hope that people listen to what I say. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't, but hey, I'm here. People will know who I am, and they'll either love me or hate me. But I have also been thinking lately about the fact that with the rise of internet censorship, even the internet is no longer such a great way to get known anymore. And so being out there, going on long walks, going places like to the mall and the bookstore, is a good way to meet people, for example. It's a good way for people to get to know who I am in this town anyway. And, the strangest thing happened the other day. So let's see, I think it was Thursday, I believe. And I had just gotten off work and it was about 7. And so I'm walking home with my groceries, and the church in the parking lot next door to Hy-Vee is having an outdoor church service. Like, cool. So what do you think I did? I just sat down at one of the tables and started listening to that sermon. Not because I really care all that much, but I thought, hey, this is interesting. I needed to sit down and drink my water anyway on the way home. It was kind of interesting. I kind of like the concept. I like the concept of the outdoor church service, or any outdoor event, really, because, like, knowing who I am, you have to understand something. I am so desperate for to have some type of social interaction these days that I'm even willing to go to church, and I'm not even a Christian anymore. That's what's funny. It's like, I'm not a Christian and I hate organized religion, but I want to go to church just because I want to meet people in my town, and that's one way of doing it. But I don't want to go inside the building, because then I'm forced by the Jackson County mask mandate to wear a mask. But these people are smarter than the government. They decide, hey, let's just have an outdoor church service. Nobody goes in the building and nobody has to wear masks. Perfect plan, huh? So you know what? I like their style. So, I observed these people and I thought, maybe if they ever do one of these outdoor things again, I'll join them for the fun of it. You know what I mean? That's the cool thing about being an adult. Being an adult, renting my own apartment, working my job, is I can do what I want when I want, pretty much, except that I have to be at work when I'm scheduled, of course. But, I've been thinking about ways I can expand my opportunities in life. And so far, I have applied for 2 jobs on that veganjobs.com website, and I could try some more as well. Now, I only applied for volunteer positions. We have a comment. I'm glad you decided to comment, Pafo. All biopan talks and services I've led have been and would be held outdoors. Yes, that is a perfect plan, Pafo, because here's the thing. Outdoors is good. Outdoors is where you're communing with nature. You know what I'm saying? When you have the fresh air and you have the trees, if there are any, and I think outdoors is good. Like, I really want to have more outdoors types of events. And the good thing about outdoors things is, you get fresh air and you're not inside a building, So I like that, because I don't really like the idea of being indoors, especially not in weather like this. This is beautiful weather. So, outdoor events are totally good, and there should be more of that. And of course, that doesn't really work when the weather's bad, but so if the weather's bad, just don't do it. You know what I'm saying? That's the thing about it. So outdoors is definitely the thing to do. Anyway, as I was saying, I applied for volunteer positions with some vegan companies, just seeing if I might be able to, submit writing to some vegan magazine, and there was I forgot what the other one was, but I like the idea of getting involved with vegan companies. I actually didn't know there were actually that many vegan companies. I thought they were kind of a rare thing, so I'm really glad I found that website. So maybe, just maybe, I'll find volunteer and maybe even eventually jobs I can get paid a little bit of money for, where I'm working for a company with some vegan ethics. Oh, that would be so cool. That would be so cool, especially in my situation where I'm only working part time at High V, and my income is probably not going to match my expenses. So I need all the help I can get. Oh, let's see here. Maybe you could even meet some cool people at those outdoor services who are losing their faith. Help them let go of their archaic concepts of God and educate themselves in pan philosophy. Yeah, that's a fine idea. Oh, and hey, we have Sovereign. Oh, hey, Bay. Hey, Bay. What does that even mean? Okay. But yeah, but anyway, Pafo, that's a good idea. See, I want people to have a sort of evolution of concept of religion, because I was raised in Christianity, and I know what the Bible says, I know what churches are teaching, but it's about this dead, unchanging, ancient truth that's supposedly revealed, and that anything new must be false or of the devil. But that's not living. That's useless. And so I want people to have an understanding of always being learning, you know? Yeah. Oh, nobody has ever bade you before? Well, I got to be the first then. Yeah, what does that even mean, Sovereign? Tell me, what does that mean to be bade, or to say, hey, bae? I don't even know what that means. uh, yeah. So yeah, I mean, like, and I see all these churches in Independence, just like I did in Lee Summit. Like, there's so many churches. There's about as many churches as there are fast food restaurants these days. And what's so special about one or the other? Like, you'll have two churches right next to each other, or right across the street from each other, and it's like, what's the difference? Short for babe. Term of endearment. Cool. So like, yeah, like, hey babe, or yeah, hey babe. Oh, it just kind of rhymed, I guess. Cool. So yeah, hey babe, Sovereign, whatever. So yeah, I know. I was going to tell Sovereign the time when I learned what a dominatrix was. There was a Facebook comment exchange. That's a whole other story right there. It started with a Medium article. But let me tell you about the time when I went frisbee golfing with my friend Lucas and his friend Edwin. So Lucas and Edwin and I went to a park in Lee Summit, and we were going to play frisbee golf. Had a lot of frisbees, and they have this whole frisbee golf course with these goals. Like, they have like these hoops or baskets, whatever, that you have to try to throw the frisbee in. It's kind of, well, if it's frisbee golf, you try to see how few throws you can get the frisbee into the basket. An interesting concept, actually, because all you need is a frisbee, and it's a perfect place to do it. So we could totally do that again sometime. So you have to understand here, Edwin was trying to instruct me on techniques of throwing the frisbee. And he says, have you ever cracked a whip before? And Lucas says, sure, he's a dominatrix. And I'm like, a what? And so I didn't know what they were talking about, and they laughed. So what did I do? When I got home that night, so I get on Google, and I search on Google dominatrix, and I read the Wikipedia article. And I don't remember exactly what I read, but so Next time I went to Hy-Vee, I went to the produce department where my friend works, and I said, I'm pretty sure that I'm not a dominatrix, but I think my ex-girlfriend was. That's a funny story. I actually had a girlfriend against my consent. That's a whole nother story. But yeah, fun times. Life has a surprising way of making me learn new things. But see, I was reading this Wikipedia article about a vegan dominatrix that only cages and tortures beings with their consent, which is an interesting concept because is it really torture if you're consenting to have it done to you? It's a weird concept, but those Medium articles, just like that Medium article that I read before, about all the irresponsible ejaculations. Like that was one of the weirdest Medium articles I ever read. This is so strange. I learned something new every day. But anyway, where was I? Oh yeah, I was talking about these churches. So there's all these churches, and they all think they're so special. And these days, there's these non-denominational churches. Okay, they're non-denominational because if you're not familiar with Christianity, they have these denominations like there's Baptist and Pentecostal and Methodist and Presbyterian, and nobody really knows what that stuff means. They just like these names. And then there's the non-denominational people, and those people are just kind of like. They're like the non-binary people of Christian religion, kind of. It's like, oh, let's not be one of those labels, just be non-denominational, like the non-binary people. So that's kind of what they're like. Let's see. There's a vegan strip club in Oregon called Diablos. Very interesting. A vegan strip club. And how is that different than a regular strip club? Is that like a strip club where they serve vegan food? You got to explain that one to me, Sovereign. Yeah, anyway, so yeah, these non-denominational churches, they try to be kind of inclusive. They try to just not attach themselves to a certain set of beliefs as much. Well, okay, here's the thing. Now, if you go to churches, on any church website, you look at their statement of belief, and there's a certain set of things. It's like a copy-paste thing. Like, how the copyright page in most books are pretty much the same thing. All rights reserved. No part of this book may be copied, blah, 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 without the permission of the author. That same thing you see in every copyright page. Well, that's what church websites are like because they have their statement of belief things. Oh, yes, all vegan food, no leather, etc. Very interesting. I think that's cool. Like, I don't really have any plans on visiting a strip club, although somebody tried to invite me to one, and I said no thanks. But if I did go to a strip club, it would have to be a vegan one. I feel like that's a good thing for the world, even though I'm not too sure about the concept of a strip club. It's kind of weird. I guess it's kind of like, sort of like a nudist colony, I guess you could say. I mean, there's nothing morally wrong with people being naked, of course. It just, I have feelings about that myself. Let's see here. Cool. Yeah. So anyway, let's see, where was I? Oh yeah, so the statement of belief that all these churches have, like, oh, well, Jesus is the Son of God, he died, resurrected, and and your sins are forgiven because he did this thing, and he's part of the Trinity of Father, Son, Holy Spirit, and was born of a virgin. The same thing, like every church, they're all the same thing. And the thing is, their statement of beliefs, all those things they believe, I believe none of those things. And so I was just thinking about how fun it would be. It's like, well, what if I go to church and people ask me questions and like, well, are you a Christian or how did you come here? It's like I'll just tell them, well, you know what? I think Christianity is bullshit, but I just wanted to meet some people, see how they react, and if they kick me out, then it's a fun story to tell. I'll tell about that story on the next live stream then if that happens. So we'll see. But I'm going to wait until the mask mandate before I do anything like that. And until then, I'll just join outdoor church services whenever that kind of thing happens. But seriously, I would really like to have some social interaction that was a little bit more like what Papa was describing, where we just kind of all talk about things, do things outdoors, but it's not part of the Christian religion. But it's kind of a strange thing because some things will always be the majority. You know what I'm saying? Some things that will just always be a majority because well, like heterosexuality will always be a majority because most people are straight, and they probably will be. That's just the way it is. And then, with Christianity has held a hold on the world for a long time and been established as the dominant religion. And there's reasons for that. I don't really like it, and yet that's the way it is. And so it's very tricky because I don't really know if I fit in with those people, but there's no group of people that I do fit in with. And it's even harder with all this COVID thing because then all of a sudden everybody's afraid and thinks they have to social distance from you because you might be a carrier of COVID, and everybody's afraid. And it's like, okay, weird. Let's see. Don't give in and go just out of desperation. They'll just town you and try to convert you. Yeah, I know they will. That's the thing. So I'm not even sure if it's a good idea. But at the same time, I'm kind of lonely. That's why I do live streams, people, in case you haven't figured out. I'm lonely and I need some interaction. Um, because, yeah, I mean, I'm kind of off by myself in independence. And if it wasn't for the internet and having friends online, I wouldn't know what to do with myself. Let's see here. You don't know what will be the majority in the future, Chess. We are moving toward a completely gender fluid and non-binary culture. Well, yeah, I do see a sort of a trend that way. It's kind of interesting because I think people are slowly wanting to. Well, okay. Here's one thing about humanity that's interesting is people really don't like being told what to do. They don't like being told, well, you were born with these genitals, therefore you have to do this, this, and this. You have to play with these toys, whatever. And people don't like that with religion either. They don't like being told, oh, well, to be one of us, you have to believe this whole statement of belief. And so because people are rebellious and they're just like, hey, I want to do my own thing, then people kind of start forming their own groups. Like, for example, like there's black churches and there's gay churches. Did you know that? Like seriously, like first of all, the black people were not welcome with the white people because back in the days, the white people were like really racist. And so the black people couldn't go to the white churches because of segregation and all that. So then the black people just started their own churches, and so you have these churches full of black people. Hey, I should go to one of those churches and be like the only white person there and see what happens. That'd be fun. And then there's the churches that either are full of gay people or churches that are just welcoming of gay people. And so they end up being more popular among the gay people because traditionally Christian churches have, well, they've either been outright like Westboro Baptist Church, where like, oh, God hates fags and you're going to hell because you're gay. Or they'll be like the people like, well, I love you, but I hate what you do. And it's like, okay, the whole love of the sinner. Okay, can you hear me now? It said my browser lost connection to my mic. I hope that you guys can hear me. I want to check my settings here. Okay, I hope you can hear me again. And I want to respond to some of these comments. Okay, let's see. I was beyond lonely and desperate in LA for years and finally gave in and went to a nearby church just for human connection and fellowship. As usual, I ended up knowing more than anyone there. Yep, so you were in a similar situation. Yeah. But anyway, like I was saying about the gay people, is first of all, I don't like the idea that being gay is a sin, especially since it's not a choice anyway. And there's a whole concept of sin that's messed up. But also, not all gay people are the same, just like not all straight people are the same. Like, I came across this interesting blog about this couple and their celibate gay agenda. They're celibate, but they're gay, which is cool, which is basically totally a legit thing. Just because you can be gay or you can be straight, but you could still be celibate, so you would not be doing sexual things. And if you're not doing the sexual things that the Christian church teaches is a sin, then you're not a sinner, even according to their definition, but they still think you are. So people make assumptions and they just judge you, and they're stupid to do that. Let's see here. And even though they all had good intentions and were very kind to me, it was even more discouraging because I had to spend all the time refuting and debunking everything they were trying to tell me. Yeah, it's frustrating. One group that seems kind of interesting to me is the Unitarian Universalists, because they're not like the most Christian churches. They're not even necessarily Christian. They kind of incorporate all sorts of types of belief, I forgot exactly what they say, but with them, there's more than one way to truth. I think, that it's about truth from many sources and not just the same old thing. So that might be something fun to try sometime. There was actually a video of an atheist that went to a Unitarian Universalist church and he thought it was okay. Yeah. Waste of time going to churches, not fun either. Yeah, I'm not sure about it. It was just an idea I had, but I think we could have some real fun with these podcasts and live streams and stuff. But man, it would just really be nice if there was a way of doing community as good as the churches can do it. Because churches are an interesting concept. It's not that they exist because of having a superior belief systems, not because their belief systems make sense, but it's weird. It's culture, because they have these church buildings, and as soon as you advertise that you have a church, then people come. It's weird because people are in the habit in this culture of going to churches. And so what's weird is that churches are strange because they're not like, if you go in a store, you go in there to buy something. But when you go into a church, what are you going there for? And I think the bottom line reason is most people go for the social interaction. And to tell you the truth, I don't even think 3/4 of the people that in all the churches I've been in my life actually believe what the churches or the Bible were teaching. I think they just went for the social club aspect of it. And so if I did, that would be all I would be doing, would be going for the social benefit of it. So maybe there's another way. I hope so. Oh, there is one other thing I want to do, though. Now, there is this one place. I was searching for a place where I could be around horses. Now, I forgot what it was called, but there is this horse place that is not too far from here. I could probably walk there in a few hours. It's sort of like a boarding place where people, like, they can have the horses stay there for a while, and they even have a restaurant and stuff like that. It's kind of like a a little horse place. And I think people ride the horses too and that sort of thing. But I was actually thinking maybe I could go down there and volunteer, be around some horses. That would be really fun because I would love to be around some real horses, instead of only watching them in cartoons. Let's see. I tried going to a UU church several times to fill it out. It's not a bad experience, but it's just too close to that formal structure that doesn't inspire me or speak to me in any transformational way. Yeah, transformative. Yeah, okay. Yeah, that's the thing is people have this idea of a certain structure, a certain format that things have to follow, that a building has to be a certain way. People go to a building and it has to be on Sunday mornings and you have to dress a certain way. It's just crazy. See, I think that's probably why when I do my live streams, I'm just kind of like, you know what? Anything goes. Let's just chill, people. Let's just talk about whatever we want. Like seriously, I like that concept. That's why I like podcasts, because we don't have any rules. You know what I'm saying? Like, here's the thing about it is, as soon as religion becomes organized and it becomes organized religion, well, then there become all these fights about on how to organize it, and that's where it gets strange. And actually, I need to use the restroom, and I'll be back. But yeah, I'm glad you guys are with me commenting on this stream. Yeah, I'm back, guys. Yeah, I usually like it better when I have somebody on here talking with me, and you guys are welcome to join me. If you want, I'll send you the link. But then they can entertain me while I go to the bathroom. That's always fun. But yeah, anyway, things can become too organized. The problem is that it no longer becomes organic. It no longer becomes natural. In fact, I have an example. Okay, so like, how watermelons are round, right? Well, I kid you not, there are people who decided to put watermelons into these boxes so that as the watermelons grow, they're forced into the shape of a cube. So there are cube-shaped watermelons. And I'm like, really? And I feel like that's the way that religion becomes and other things become as humans try to organize it. They try to fit it to be a certain shape rather than the shape that it naturally is. There's a way things want to be, and then there's the way other people try to make it be. And so here's what I think, is I think after a person becomes an adult, the things that they were taught as a child, they sort of outgrow and they become who they already were. Because like, think about me, for example, I was just a thing. I was just one type of animal, and I was taught all this stuff by society. I was taught stuff in public school for a while, and then I was homeschooled, and I was taught things in church, and I was taught all this stuff. And now I don't remember any of it. I don't remember any of it. Like, I don't think I remember anything I was taught. Well, my mom taught me how to read, which is nice because they really didn't teach me how to read in public school. Like, they just tried to teach me to memorize words, but they didn't teach me phonics. Like, my mom taught me phonics, and I watched videos and that kind of thing and stuff too. So I can read things, and I can even if I don't know the right way to pronounce a word, I can at least try because I know certain vowels usually make these sounds, certain consonants usually make these sounds, that sort of thing. So I can read, which is good. I can read and I can write, and that's a very valuable skill. Most people can't even do that these days because the education system, especially in America, is just horrible. But yeah, we spend all this time being forced to learn things in school and church, and then we become an adult and we have to throw all that away and just start entirely over. And that's what I've done, is I just started all the way over. I just had to forget everything I ever knew in the past, and I just basically started my whole life over at 25 years old. That's when I went vegetarian, and then I went vegan a year later, and I became atheist, and I just was thinking about everything, and like seriously, I've just changed more and more over the years, and I get to thinking about this time because today is May 1st. At least I think it's still May 1st. For the next hour, it's exactly 11 p.m. my time, May 1st. And so in 2 weeks, it'll be my 34th birthday. Like, I'm almost 34, people. Can you believe it? I'm so old. Like, this is freaky. So I think about how much I've changed in the past 7 years. And it's a lot. And yet some things never change. I still like art, and I'm still just honest, and I say exactly what I think and feel. I still like to dance. So many things about me don't change. And what I feel like is that we should be willing to change, but we can also feel comfortable in the fact that there are some things that are not going to change. There are certain key attributes of who we are that don't change. But then there's the things beyond that we are taught that do change because we were not born that way, but we're taught that later. And my heat came on. Like, seriously, I'm going to turn it down so it's not on. See, it drives me crazy when the heat comes on because I can hear it. And if I can hear it blowing, then the microphone on the camera can also probably hear it. And I don't like that sound. And I'm actually I'm not even cold, so I don't need the heat on right now. It's weird. It's so much warmer outside that I'm going to not be needing my heat much anymore. I'll probably just keep it down to 75. But I don't really want to use air conditioning, but I know that once it gets to be June or July, I might actually have to use air conditioning to keep it cool enough in here. It's getting humid too, and here's the thing is, as it gets humid, my asthma really acts up. Like I'm glad to know that you've never heard my heater because I can hear it, but then that only means that my hearing is better than the microphones, which is interesting because my eyesight is terrible, but I have good hearing. And now I actually even have a pretty good sense of smell. But yeah, what was I saying now? Oh yeah, I was talking about asthma, and the humid weather makes it hard for me to breathe. Now, when I was at a doctor's office recently, they had me take some deep breaths, and they said I was wheezing. They're like, "Do you have asthma?" I'm like, "Well, yeah." Plus, I had to wear a mask. And I told them, well, I can breathe better when I'm not wearing a mask, but the mask makes me not able to breathe. It's very sad. It is very, very sad. And so it's getting a lot harder to work my job, even at high V, because, the weather's humid, which restricts my breathing. Plus the mask means I'm not able to take in as much air. So I might just collapse and die anytime. I don't know, just because I can't breathe, That's just the way it is. I wish it wasn't that way. Let's see. But even though it wasn't led by man, organization is still worked out beautifully. Really interesting, Charity. What do you mean the organization worked out beautifully? Can you explain what you mean on that? Charity is my sister. I did a live stream with her, by the way, not too long ago, and she's got her head covering on, So she does that like sometimes she likes to look like she's from Little House on the Prairie or something like that. I don't know what she's doing, but yeah. I think now organization is something that happens anyway in nature, whether or not humans do it. Oh, was there another comment? Oh, did I miss a comment by Charity before? Because she said read her other comment. Yeah, because see, I see this comment, but then she said read my comment before that. But I'm not seeing her other comment. I see a lot of comments by Sovereign. That's weird. I'm not seeing your comment, Charity. So I hope I figured out what you mean eventually. But anyway, and also now some of you people may not have noticed what I did at the beginning of the stream, but I went over the 3 rules of Stream Club, but nobody was watching at the beginning. So I think I will review the rules of Stream Club, okay, since you people are listening now. So the first rule of Stream Club is you can talk about anything in Stream Club. The second rule of Stream Club is you must ask questions. The third rule of Stream Club is you have to trust Chastity. There's my 3 rules of Stream Club. And in case you're wondering, yes, I did watch the movie Fight Club recently. That's where I got the idea of the rules for Stream Club. So this is Stream Club. So it's like Fight Club, except live streaming. That was a freaky movie, seriously. Like, I have so many thoughts on that movie. Like, seriously, Pafo and I will have to do a whole podcast just discussing what that movie was supposed to mean. But yeah, I like it. Let's see. Are there any other movies? Well, I did watch Raya and the Last Dragon, by the way, with my mom. That was kind of interesting. I'll need to watch that again because, it had dragons. It was cool. And they had all these people that were kind of racist or nationalist, I guess you could say, where these different tribes didn't trust each other and they all wanted to fight over whatever the dragon egg or whatever it was, and it's like, it was just strange. And Papa says awesome film about the Fight Club. I assume he was talking about. Let's see here. It was about a meeting in a barn that was Holy Spirit led, not by man's organization. It lasted 7 hours, but it was beautiful. Cool. A meeting in a barn. See, that's where we should be, people. We should be in a barn with the other animals, In fact, like Christians, they believe that Jesus was born in a stable, which is kind of like a barn. So I thought that was interesting. So basically Jesus was born in a barn, that's interesting. And you ever had someone ask, well, were you raised in a barn? And I like to tell them, well, actually for a while I was. There was a time when my family lived in a yellow barn. Now it was why does it keep saying my browser has lost access to my mic? And then it has it muted and then I have to unmute it. So I hope you guys can hear me. This is so annoying. Why can't technology just stay working? I'm doing everything I can. But yeah, because I love doing these live streams, but occasionally I have issues where it says, oh, your camera came disconnected or your mic came disconnected. It's like, I didn't touch the table. I didn't touch anything, and so why is it disconnecting? I hate that. I didn't have any problems like that when I did my conversation with vegan Ariel, and that was over 2 hours. So I'm very glad that we didn't have any major issues. Also, on May the 26th at 9 a.m., I may be doing a podcast with Josh Brahm of Equal Rights Institute. Now, he's kind of a pro-life activist. He used to be the host of Life Report, which was a pro-life podcast for Right to Life of Central California before he started his own organization. So I like that guy. I followed his blog posts and stuff for years. And so I requested for him to do a live stream with me sometimes. That would be a lot of fun. Yeah, you're also broadcasting and receiving comments from multiple platforms. Maybe that's why you end up having audio problems. Well, maybe. It is true. And I don't know for sure whether or not it degrades the performance to be streaming to multiple sources. Right now, I'm streaming to Facebook, YouTube, and something called Periscope through Twitter or whatever like that. So there's 3 places where people can watch this live, and it just automatically alerts anybody who follows me. So my friends on Facebook or followers on YouTube always end up seeing this stuff, and then they can comment on it. So it's kind of nice. It's really nice. I like that system. And what would be fun now, my mom doesn't really technology much. She really doesn't. But what I should do is I should try giving her the links to like maybe the YouTube version of the stream, so that when I do these recorded live streams and let my mom know, then she could type comments, because she doesn't really want to join me in video and audio. But if I could get my mom to comment while I'm doing these live streams, that would be kind of fun. But then at the same time, I kind of would rather not, because I would just embarrass my mom, which I'm sure I already have, because I mean, I do some very cringe live streams. And yes, this has been pointed out to me repeatedly. But, you know, I do some embarrassing stuff, but I have a lot of fun talking about some things. And I kind of have this idea. Oh, let's see. Pop says, I have a video I want you to watch from Dark Matter on abortion. Okay, yeah. I may have already seen it, because I used to watch a lot of Dark Matter's videos. Yeah. But yeah, that's the thing, is I've seen a lot of videos on the topic of abortion. And it's a very strange thing, because so many people wonder, well, why do I still call myself pro-life? You know, and that's the thing, that never really changed. That's just kind of the way I always was. And I've watched so many videos on the topic and who have tried to convince me that I should be pro-choice. I've even read, you know, that famous violinist argument by Judith Jarvis Thompson or whatever, about how somebody hooked somebody up to a violinist who needs a blood transfusion or whatever, that kind of thing. Now, okay, now if it was a drummer or an organ player, it might have merit, but because it's a violinist, I think we should just let him die. Just kidding. I'm just joking. Oh yeah, and Charity says, I've never heard of Dark Matter. Papa sent it to me. Oh yeah, Charity, you would get a lot out of Dark Matter's videos. There's this YouTuber named Dark Matter 2525, and he has a lot of very interesting videos criticizing some of the problems in Christianity. There's a lot of weird Bible stories in there. There's some messed up ideas. But one thing that I want to make clear, though, about the whole abortion thing is that people have this idea that being pro-life about abortion means that you're some part of some Christian religion. Not necessarily. In fact, I came to a certain time where I had to realize that it didn't make sense to be against abortion while claiming to be a Bible-believing Christian, because I mean, look at all the times that God killed people or commanded animal sacrifice in the Bible. You know, so there's that. And so the Christian God is not pro-life, and that's the important thing to clarify, is that I don't believe in the Christian God. and I haven't since like I was 24, 25 anyway. But what I try to do, here's what I try to do is I try to gather what few good parts there are of Christianity, because it's familiar to me and because it's the dominant religion at this time in this country. And so I want people to get the good out of it, but I want people to discard the bad in it, because you have to cherry pick. You kind of have to, because it's just like the vegan thing. If you're vegan, then how do you believe that those parts in the Bible where God killed everything with the flood and commanded animal sacrifice, how can you believe that God did that if you claim to be worshiping God or serving God while being a vegan? So a lot of people who are part of the Christian religion who claim to believe that stuff use that to argue against veganism, whereas you have the vegan Christians who point to other things like Daniel and his friends that only ate fruit and vegetables, or the Garden of Eden, or the new heaven and new earth, and all sorts of things. So it's just, an all-you-can-read buffet, and you can use the Bible to support any position. So that's the thing, is the Bible can't be taken as a whole. It can't be taken as a whole, and we can't say that, the whole Bible is all true. This is God's message to humanity. No, that's not what I believe at all. But here's what's interesting. Here's what's happened recently. This is very, very strange. But when people read parts of my unicorn story, this story with me talking to Honesty the Unicorn, it's just Christian enough to piss off the atheists and make them hate it, but it's just non-religious enough to make the Christians hate it. It's that awkward in-between stage. It's basically, my book is like the non-binary when it comes to religion. It's like, it's not theist, it's not atheist. It's sort of this awkward in-between stage where, there's truth from all sources. Truth has no gender or species and all this stuff. And Chastity and the unicorn talk to each other. And it's very weird. It's really cool. It's just that awkward in-between stage where it's not really promoting Christianity, but it will grab little truths here and there from it. So I get mixed feedback whenever I do get comments on my posts, because in fact, I just published another chapter just before this live stream on my Facebook author page, which is named Chastity White Rose. I have part 5, chapter 9. So that might be interesting. Yeah, that's right. It's non-denominational mysticism. Yeah, it's kind of like that. Yeah, because what I believe and what I write about and what I talk about is sort of non-denominational. It's it's not religion. Now I don't really know what the word mysticism is, Apophis. I'm not all that familiar with that word, so I'll have to look that up more. But I know it's not religion, because religion is just sort of like, to me, just a set of rules, just a bunch of rules. I don't want to follow any rules except for the rules of Stream Club, which I went over earlier. The Stream Club rules are good because I wrote them. But where it could be called non-denominational or spirituality or just truth-seeking. I like truth-seeking. I kind of like this idea that it can be whatever it needs to be. It's really cool. I like it. It's just like being open to learning new truth from any source. And I think it's cool. And see, that is why I like to open up the conversation. See, the cool thing about these live streams is that, I do most of the talking because I'm hosting it, but then people leave me these comments, then I respond. And of course, you guys, if you guys let me know that you want to join and talk to me on here with audio and video too, we can totally arrange that too. But yeah, it's just nice because we all have our truths to share. We're like the bearers of light. We have the light of truth, and we all have different things to say. It's just cool. The truth speaks to us through other people, through movies, books, and music. In fact, there's this song. There is definitely a song. I hope that I can look up the lyrics to the song without it screwing up my live stream, but I'm going to try. Believer, let's see. Imagine, okay, yeah. Believer, Imagine Dragon lyrics. Okay, yeah. So if you know this song by Imagine Dragons, in fact, I will share this on the screen. Let me do a screen share so you can read the lyrics along with me. Let's see here. I'm just gonna share the screen here. In fact, maybe I can just share that Chrome tab. Let's see here. Yes. Okay. Nice. Yeah. All right. Yeah. So here we have the lyrics that I found on Google, Google search. Let's view all the lyrics, okay? Because okay, people, I'm just gonna go and I'm gonna try to sing this, okay? Let me take a drink here, get my throat moist. I haven't listened to it that much, so I could be rusty on the tune of it, but I'm just gonna go with it for the fun, okay? First things first, I'ma say all the words inside my head. I'm fired up and tired of the way that things have been. Oh, oh, the way that things have been. Oh, oh. Second things second, don't you tell me what you think that I could be. I'm the one at the sail, I'm the master of my sea. Oh, oh, the master of my sea. Oh, oh. I was broken from a young age, taking my soak into the masses, writing my poems for the few that look at me, took at me, shook at me, feeling me, singing from heartache, from the pain, taking my message from the veins, speaking my lesson from the brain, seeing the beauty through the pain. You made me a believer, believer. Pain. You break me down and build me up, believer, believer. Pain. Oh, let the bullets fly, oh, let them rain. My life, my love, my driver came from pain. You made me a believer, believer. First things first, can you imagine what's about to happen? It's Wheezy the dragon, I link with the dragons. Wait, I don't think I know the tune of this part of the song. Yeah, I don't know the tune of this part of the song. I don't really think I can continue singing it because I need to listen to the song more to know how it sounds during those part of the lyrics. But look at this. Is you a believer? I get a unicorn out of a zebra. I wear my uniform like a tuxedo. This dragon don't hold his breath, don't need no breather. Weird, man. I didn't even know these parts of the song because after a while, it's like I don't even know those different verses. I'm just like, pain, you made me a believer, believer. Pain, you break me down and build me up, believer, believer. Pain, oh, let the bullets fly, oh, let them rain. My life, my love, my drive, it came from pain. So yeah, there's enough of that. But that's me when I sing. I had to sing. Sorry, Pafo. I know you hate my singing, but I had to do it. Pafo's hilarious. He's like, no, 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 no singing, please. Oh God. Oh man, I had to do it. But you might be wondering, why did I sing that song? Yes, you know that. It's so sad. Papa hates my singing. You know, it's too bad he can't appreciate my beautiful singing. But the reason I sang that song is because that speaks to me. That song is truth straight to me because it was pain that made me who I am today. It was pain that taught me the truth of how things are and made me strong and the person I am today. And that song is a message about good coming out of bad circumstances. And so that song speaks to me, and that's why I sing it. Not because my singing is very good. Papa doesn't like my singing, but you know what? I hear these songs, I listen to these songs. And sometime I might sing some more songs. So I gotta have a little bit of singing in my live stream just to keep it interesting. You know what I'm saying? But sometime I need to sing some of Sia's songs. Now, if you don't know who Sia is, now Sia is a singer, and she actually apparently wrote the songs for the movie Music. Now, that was supposedly about an autistic girl, although in the movie it doesn't actually state that the main character that it centers around is actually autistic. Of course, she has some sort of disability, but it doesn't actually say she's autistic, so you kind of have to just read into it and make your own beliefs about that movie. But it was actually a good movie. I liked it. My mom liked it. But then there's all sorts of people who's like, oh, this is a horrible representation of autistic people, and you should not do this with autistic people. And why did they get an autistic actor to play the autistic one? And it's like, there's so many things I could respond to that with. And then people are like, oh, well, Sia shouldn't have made this movie. And like people just got crazy. So it was basically the whole J.K. Rowling situation all over again. It's like, if a person makes a book or a movie or says anything, then people just get all mad at them. So, I mean, people are going to cancel me, I'm sure, because of my singing. But yeah, anyway, let's see. What was I doing here? I don't know. I mean, I'm actually getting kind of tired. But I'm wondering, are there any questions that you guys would like to ask me in this stream before I end it? Because remember, the second rule of Stream Club is you must ask questions. Yeah, so I think I'll wait a little while just in case anybody has any more questions. I mean, do we have any more questions about pain or about non-denominational mysticism or anything else? I don't know. But yeah, yeah. Trying to think, is there anything else interesting I wanted to share? Oh yeah. What were you saying about house barn? Oh yeah, the house barn. Because now Charity remembers the house barn we used to live in. You know, it was painted yellow. It looked like a barn on the outside, had a little swing set on the outside. I remember it had 2 levels. In fact, I remember exactly what the house looked like. That was also the house, I believe, where the raccoons fell through the ceiling into the bathtub because there were raccoons still living in there. And they were above the ceiling, directly above the bathtub. So that was weird. Oh, I see. Yeah. My sister said the audio cut out then. Yeah, because the audio cut out when I was talking about the house barn that my sister and I and mom and I used to live in. Yeah, that was nice. And I'm sure that house barn is probably still standing, like in Olathe, Kansas. It was in Olathe, Kansas, where the house barn was. And it might still be there. You just never know. It might even be possible to see on Google Maps, but if I was in Olathe and found it, I would be able to show you the exact house that was a yellow barn-shaped house. Because, I mean, it was such a unique house. You can't miss it. It was very unique. Oh yeah, my sister says it's there, so it's still there. The house barn is still there to this day. Interestingly, I can tell you, there have been very few places I've actually lived. So I don't remember when I was a baby. I remember I was born in Miriam, Kansas, at Shawnee Mission Hospital. And the barn house was actually the first house that I remember, like my memory actually goes back to. So I don't know how long we were there. And then after the divorce, we moved to Kansas City, Kansas, and we lived in this apartment with cockroaches. It was really bad. A cockroach crawled into my mom's ear. She had to go to the emergency room. There was some really bad stuff. Bed bugs, cockroaches. It was a horrible apartment. I tried to get out of there as much as I could. And of course, I went to elementary school back in those days, and I climbed trees and got beat up by neighborhood kids. That sort of thing. It was a pretty awful place. And then we moved to Lee Summit at around the time I was 9 years old, and I lived in Lee Summit with my mom in one place until I was about 24, and then moved to the place where my mom is still living now. I lived there until I was 31, and I got my other job I had for a while, and I moved to Independence, and now I'm working at this Hy-Vee, But I've lived very few places, so I only remember the barn house, and then Bryco, and then Lee Haven, and now here, So very few places I've been fortunate not to have to move too much in my life, which is good because I hate change. So I'm glad that I wasn't in one of those families where, like, every year we're moving to a different place. It's kind of being able to stay in one place is nice. But the thing about being in Independence now is that it's a whole new town. There's new people to meet. Nobody really knows me here. All the people who knew me were in Lee Summit. Now I know why you were such an animal since lived in a barn. But I did too, so I guess I'm an animal too. Lol, just like you. Well, of course, Charity, we're definitely animals. I mean, humans are animals, make no mistake. And more specifically, humans are a specific type of monkey. Basically, humans are like monkeys that went bald on most places of their body. Although some of us still have awkward instances of chest hair or butt hair or belly hair and weird stuff like that. But we're basically naked apes for the most part. That's what we are. Oh, not monkey, great apes. So great monkeys. Apes, monkeys, humans, they're all the same to me. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't really make the distinction between apes and monkeys. Like I just think of apes as larger forms of monkeys. Now, one thing I'll notice is that some of the great apes, like gorillas and humans, for examples, as they're called, don't really have tails the same as some of the other monkeys that still have tails, like the spider monkey. Did you know there's a spider monkey? The spider monkey is particularly skilled at using its tail to help it climb trees and swing from tree to tree. So it's like a fifth hand or something like that. It's cool. I know these kinds of things because I used to watch Kratz Creatures. There was these two young guys on this TV show where they had all of these. It was like they were in Africa most of the time, and they were showing all these wild animals. It was crazy. They had this Jeep, and they tried to race a cheetah, and I think the cheetah won. The cheetah outran their Jeep, and then their Jeep ran out of gas, and that was bad for them. It was funny. Those animal shows are cool. I like those animal shows, because it was a chance to see what kind of animals there are in the world. Although I was never happy about, the cheetahs and the tigers and all those things eating the other animals like the zebras and the gazelles. So that was no fun. But other than that, it was nice to see the different types of animals there are on this planet. Oh yeah. Oh man, it's interesting. So yeah, man, I've talked about everything. I've talked about just about everything there is. I don't know. I wonder, is there anything else I need to talk about? I'm not really sure, but I'll give you guys 5 more minutes. It's just reaching the hour and 15 minutes mark. So if there's any more comments or questions during this time, I'll respond to them, and then I'll end this live stream and maybe take a shower, maybe do something else. We'll see how it goes. Family, Hominidae, subfamily, Hominidae, tribe, Hominini, genus, Homo species, Homo sapiens. I think he meant Homo sapiens. I don't know. I don't think he meant Homo sapiens. That's weird. I don't know. But see, Homo means same. So Homo sapiens means same species, just like homosexual means same sex, that kind of thing. So it's sort of weird. So even if you're not a homosexual, you can be a Homo sapien. So we can all be part of the Homo Club if we want. But yeah. Anything else? Any other types of we are apes, the last known hominids. The last known hominids? I have to, I have so much to learn. I don't really know what a hominid is. In fact, maybe, okay, I know what I'll do. I will look up a hominid. Okay, what is a hominid? I don't know these terms. A hominid is a primate of a family, Hominidae, that includes humans and their fossil ancestors, and also in recent systems, at least some of the great apes. So basically, yeah, just is another word for the great apes. Yeah, the primates, the great apes, and stuff like that. Yeah, see, I don't know all of the scientific terms for all the different genuses and species and all the families of what animals are related to other animals, except I know my sister and I are related, but that's about as far as I know. Oh, it's too much fun. Yeah. Learn some biology. It's important. Well, first of all, I didn't learn this stuff. I mean, I was homeschooled, so I didn't learn biology. But second of all, why is it so important? Like, that's the thing is, like, I'm not one of those people who thinks it's that important to know, like, the history of our evolution, that sort of thing. Like, I don't really think it's that important because it still says nothing about ethics. I've watched some videos about evolution and stuff. Like I watched 14 videos of The Fundamental Falsehoods of Creationism by Aaron Raw. And that was really nice and explained a lot of evolution. And then I watched this video on horse evolution. It was like 5 minutes long, but it explained about the different types of horse-like creatures. And that was cool because I'm always interested in horses, So evolution is kind of cool in a certain extent, but the problem is, like, biology has become like simultaneous with evolution, and it's weird these days. And then the different genuses, the families of these different animals are probably classified based on, them evolving from common ancestors, that kind of thing. But it never really mattered to me. Like, for me, like, I just look at what I can see. And I look at, I see of the most common animals, I think off the top of my head, I think of, there's the apes or the monkeys, which for me, they're the same. And there's the cats, and there's the dogs, and there's the bears, and there's the horses, and some deers, you know what I mean? There's quite a few major family groups that I can see. And then there's all kinds of animals I don't even know about. I think mostly of the ones that I commonly see, but I know there's probably millions of animals, more than I can even comprehend, especially if I go outside the US. But hey, I've been stuck in the Midwest my whole life, and outside of a few TV shows or YouTube videos, I don't get to see very many animals, and it's sad. That's why I want to go to a horse place and be around some real horses. We'll see how that goes. Maybe I can volunteer there, just spend some time with the horses because they're cool. So that's kind of what I'm thinking, and I'm trying to expand my opportunities in life and what I can do to, get to know some people, socialize with some people in my local area. But I'm going to keep doing these live streams too because it's a lot of fun. I want to keep talking to you people. I like the comments. I like the interaction we have. It's just so much fun to do. And that's the great thing is it costs me nothing. Not really, because I already pay for my internet and electricity. And so I can just do these live streams whenever I have the time and I'm home to do it. So this has been a very nice Saturday. Let's see. Because people who deny evolution and science also want to ban gay marriage, teach junk science in schools, and promote a young earth theory that undermines every archaeological and anthropological advancement we've made in the last 500 years. So you mean, okay, let me get this straight. So we should make people believe evolution so that they won't be against gay marriage and promote this young earth theory. I don't know. I don't get it. You don't have to believe in evolution to come to understand that gay people are people too. I mean, besides, we're all Homo sapiens, remember? And yes, you should go work with horses. My first job was on a farm. Yeah, I totally want to do that. Sometime I'm going to walk down there and see how it goes, Yeah, that could be fun. And they have like a little restaurant there. So maybe I can even see if I can get something to eat or drink there and spend some time with the horses. That would be fun. We don't make people believe in human evolution. We just teach it. Well, that's the thing is that's totally fine, Potho. And there's been, of course, fights over about evolution being taught in schools, and you have the people who want young earth creationism taught in schools, and you have the people who want evolution taught in schools. And it becomes a very interesting thing because I feel like, here's just my opinion on the whole evolution, creationism, and school thing. Here's my idea is, because these two things are in direct opposition, one solution is to teach neither of them. The other solution is to teach both of them. And how does someone work that out? But if only one's taught and the other's not, then the people who believe the one will say that they're mad because their thing isn't being taught. So, but whatever, we can all have our opinion on that. Bottom line is you can't please people. People are going to keep fighting about that forever, pretty much. And you're not aware of how creationists are trying to discourage an accurate understanding of evolution biology. Well, I know they don't believe in evolutionary biology, and I know that people want people to believe in creationism. Like, here's my understanding: Christians who believe the Bible want people to believe in creationism, as in the book of Genesis, because if people don't believe it, well, then they can't believe the rest of the religion. So it's sort of like you have to believe in Genesis to believe that Jesus died on the cross and all that crap. So I don't like what they're trying to do with creationism. Like, I'm aware of it to that extent. Like, they want people to believe creationism so they'll be Christian and they'll go to church and they'll put their money in the offering plate. It's about money. The creationism is about money. That's what I see it as. So I don't really like what they're doing, but I don't really know how to stop that, until religion is just gone because people have left that religious system and found something better, which is what we're trying to work on, of course. Let's see. People should choose what they believe, not be forced. Evolution is a historical fact. If religious views are taught, then they should be taught as mythology and in that context. Let's see here. Yeah. Yeah, that's the thing about it. The problem is that the majority in the country are still Christians who believe that creationism is fact. So that's the issue, is that in order to teach evolution, the minority has to win over the majority. That's the thing. It's like, I'm fine with evolution being taught in the schools. I don't have a problem with it, but it's a hard sell. And regardless of what's taught in schools, people still have to, when they're in their adult life, they still have to figure out what they believe then. It's kind of a strange thing, but I was able, by being homeschooled, I was able to miss evolution, and I was able to miss sex ed. I mean, my mom wasn't going to teach me evolution because she didn't believe it. So that's kind of an interesting influence there. But this is an interesting topic. Like, seriously, guys, I didn't know we were going to get on this topic. This is actually very interesting. Now I'm into this. Maybe this will go on a little bit longer. Believing I was created gives me more meaning and purpose. And remember, evolution is a scientific theory, not necessarily a fact. Ooh, man, this is cool. So we got what my sister says, and we've got what Pafo says. Literally two of the most important subjects you could ever learn. Well, maybe evolution might be important. I'm willing to accept it might be important, but sex ed, I'm not so sure. Now, but I will say this about sex education, is that if you're planning on having sex, then maybe you should have some sex education. But if you're going to be celibate like me, then maybe you don't need it. So I admit I'm a rare case, but maybe most people need sex education. Maybe most people do. But I'm glad I missed that part. But, I like to tell people, well, see, I missed sex education because I was homeschooled, and that's why I'm still a virgin. It's fun. It's fun. Oh, crap. It keeps losing connection to my mic. But I feel like this could be really good. Like, seriously, guys, how about Pafo and Charity have a little debate on that topic sometime? Wouldn't that be fun? Would you watch that, people? Wouldn't that be cool if you had those two discussing it? But before I end this, I do want to say that, I'm not so sure that believing, like my sister said, believing I was created gives me more meaning and purpose. Yeah, I'm not so sure if being created means more meaning and purpose. I'm not sure with that. And then let's see. We have no Charity. The term theory and science means an accurate model. It doesn't mean the same thing as the word theory in common language. Yeah, that's true too, because people in everyday speech use the word theory as like, oh, I just have this idea. Whereas theory and science is a different concept. I don't feel like debating anyone, but this should be known. Then even evolution has to be taken by faith, just like creation. Interesting concept, Charity, because, well, to a certain extent, there is a certain amount of faith that what the scientists and archaeologists and school teachers are telling people is true. It's about whether you have faith those people are telling you the truth. So there is a certain amount of faith involved in believing in evolution. I will say that. Let's see. We were created by nature. Have you guys ever heard of theistic evolution? The Christians who believe that evolution was the way which God created us. That's one concept. I knew someone who believed that, which is an interesting concept. So some people have managed to fit evolution into their Christian religion, which is interesting. Some people do that. And if you can do that, well, good for you. My own position is that personally, I do believe in evolution. I do believe that, like, if you go back far enough, that we all have common ancestors. If you go back far enough, that even the deer and the horses and the humans, if like you go way far back, we probably did have certain small organisms as our ancestors if you go a long time biological. Like I believe that, but it's not something I've ever really talked about much. I just think it makes sense, you know. Evolutionary biology has thousands of tangible points of evidence to support it. Of course they say that because they can't deny it anymore, just like veganism. Oh, I see what you're saying. It's sort of like the people who they incorporate veganism into their religion just because now it's becoming a thing that's popular, and they have to try to fit it into their religion. You know, so they do the same thing with evolution as they do veganism. I sort of get what you're saying there, Pafo. But yeah, you know, here's the thing is like, I once started reading this book, and it was about how testicles prove that God doesn't exist. It was so weird. But then it got into evolution. I thought, cool. But then it started trying to use evolution as a means of saying that you have to understand evolution to understand why people have to have vaccines. But because I'm an anti-vaxxer and adamantly against vaccines, then I just quit reading the book because I just got so fed up with it. I'm sick of that. I got so tired of reading people with all their pro-vaccine rhetoric. So I tend to, when it gets that far, I kind of feel like sometimes evolution is just used as an excuse to try to convince us to unquestioningly just trust whatever doctors and scientists and politicians want us to believe. Like, it's just a weird thing. So, you know, people are going to disagree with me on this, but I feel like, hey, you know what? Learn what you want. Learn any topic you want, you know, and get truth from whatever source you can. But we always come to different conclusions, and that's what makes it interesting. So I hope that progress doesn't require us to all agree on creationism or evolution or anything like that, because I feel like the way we live there, I believe there is a right way to live, you know, and the golden rule and veganism and all that great stuff. But I don't think that requires someone to either accept either creationism or evolution. And people could believe in a combination of the two, that we were created through evolution too, like I mentioned. Okay, yes, and it has been proven. Okay, let's see here. I took biology of women and I went to college, so I know scientific theory starts with a hypothesis that has to be proven by experimentation to find truth, to see if hypothesis is true. Yeah, something like that. Also, there were some Richard Dawkins videos on evolutions that I watched, and that was kind of interesting. It was kind of entertaining too, some of the people he was talking to in that movie. Why do whales have vestigial limbs? Oh yeah, I know what you're talking about. I saw like the skeletons of like whales like have some limbs or whatever, like they used to have legs there, like it's still parts of the skeleton to show that like they at one point they had legs, but they lost them over time. So I know what you're talking about. Yeah. So they're like, there's some fossil record of this stuff that shows, you know, one species sort of changing to another over time, where their physical attributes change, you know. So yeah, I see that. See, I think there's evidence for evolution, but then again, most people are just exposed to, they're a kid in school and, oh, well, the science teacher says, oh, well, this evolved from this and this evolved from this. Oh, and here's fossils, here's archaeology, here's carbon dating, you know. And though they just have to believe it because of what the teacher says. And the teacher's just passing it because that's what the school board wants them to teach. And the school board's teaching it because there are people who want them to teach it, and there's political pressure. So it's all about money. Creationism and evolution is about money. Like, both of them seem like they're about money to me. People are going to laugh at me, I know, but I think it's about, creationism is about people believing a certain religious belief so people come to church, put money in the offering plate. Evolution is a tool that it's something they teach kids in school so that they will accept certain things, and so they can convince them that they need vaccines and weird stuff. Like I see so many weird things done in the name of science, and don't even get me started on the animal experimentation in a whole bunch of scientific studies. Most of what goes under the name of science is unethical. And for that reason, I'm not a promoter of science because what science has come to mean, it's, well, just like we have the problem of organized religion, there's also organized science. There's personal religion or spirituality, and there's personal science, what you can observe yourself. But then when it becomes organized, you have these organizations that become, government funded, and taxpayers are forced to pay for that. And it involves animal experimentation, animals being killed as new drugs and weird stuff are tested on them. It's unethical. So I don't feel like I can be ethical and really promote the whole science agenda all that much. So that is one of the examples where I tend to disagree with most atheists and agnostics. I'm not really one of them because I see things so differently than them. And maybe I would see it differently if I had been taught evolution in school. But, my mom was taught evolution in school, and she didn't like it. And she believes in God, and she I don't really think she believes in evolution even to this day. But something, my mom is pretty cool, and I will say this, she understands me and my transgender identity, and she's gone vegan, and it's just cool. And I just kind of think, my mom and I don't really agree on every topic, but we get along now and we agree on what matters. And I think that's cool. And I think that's what I want the world to do, science agenda. Yeah, Pafo, I think there's a science agenda. Yeah, because I think scientists and the people who promote certain scientific theories to be taught in school, they want children to believe a certain thing because they believe that will influence how those people spend money later on in life. I really think it's about that. Like, I don't really for example, history. I could tell you about the history agenda too, but that's for a whole other podcast because that's a deep topic. The cool thing about science is it's true whether you believe it or like it or not. Yeah, but here's the thing is a lot of people just trust what they're taught in school as if it's science, whether it's, elementary school, high school, or college, whatever the scientific study is. But they're trusting that the people who've done the scientific studies, the experiments, and presented their evidence didn't fabricate the evidence, didn't lie about the results of the studies. That's the thing about it, is that people can lie and there really are conspiracies. So, believe what you want about about scientists and all that, but pure science is, of course, valid. But what people call science is often a religion, because instead of having pastors that preach like in churches, you have scientists and school teachers that are just teaching and want people to believe a certain thing. But I feel like science is something that we do for entertainment. It's something we do for fun because, hey, we want to understand the world. Nothing wrong with exploring the world, but when it becomes people's professional job and they're being paid to do these experiments and stuff like that, people's intentions can be corrupted. Greed takes over. People might want to change the results of studies so they can get more funding. You never know. Yeah. When I say science, I mean the scientific method. Science is a really broad term. Well, then I agree with you, Pafo. I agree in the scientific method, of course. I just don't like science as it's come to be used in modern society, where people have science mean the sum of all the things that the scientists are saying, if you get what I'm saying. Because this comes down to not trusting humanity. And there are people who do these studies that, people will do fake studies to support the idea that humans need to eat animal products, for example. But then there's other studies that show that we don't, you know what I mean? So it's one person's word against another, or groups of people against other people. But the scientific method itself, and people doing experiments for the love of it, and publishing the results is good. But then it's still a matter of faith, like my sister said, because whether people believe what someone else has said or not is still another matter. There's a lot that we can tell people about, but we don't know if they'll believe us, you know? By the way, Darwin just put a ring on my finger, just got engaged officially. Well, that's cool, Charity. Congrats to you and Darwin. Interesting that your fiance is Darwin, kind of like Charles Darwin, speaking of evolution. Isn't that funny? Yeah, well, that's cool. Anyway, yeah, I'm getting super tired, guys, so I think I will have to end this live stream. But it has been so much fun talking to you guys, and I think we'll talk more about these topics in the future. I'm thinking maybe next weekend sometime, we'll see what happens. Maybe Friday or Saturday, or sometime even before work on one of my days. We can do another live stream. This has been fun. So thanks for joining me, people. It's been a good live stream, just talk about everything. Yeah, so I guess I'll end it for now, but people, you can always leave your comments and questions. Let us know what you would like discussed in the next podcast, and let me know if you'd like to be on as an actual guest so that you can be seen and heard on camera and microphone too. Because that's always fun, but it also requires a fairly good internet connection too. So there's always that. So good night, everybody. And also, I must end. It is mandatory that I end the stream in the standard way. So I want you all to remember, be excellent to each other and party on, dudes.